OS suite, especially with iOS. It's pretty weird. Yeah, basically, Apple Intelligence, if you can guess it, the keywords are A and I.
Yeah.
So, 10th of July, Apple held their WWDC for 2024. That was the event that they unveiled their power in software. In the previous episode of this podcast, we discussed our predictions. Today in this episode, we are, as usual, as we usually do, we will conclude what went right, what went wrong with our predictions, and also there were certain interesting features were unveiled by Apple, mostly related to AI, but mostly not related to AI. But at the same time, the half of the event was related to AI. So today, in this episode, the 84th episode of our Aprender podcast, we are discussing highlighted things that you guys might have missed with Apple Intelligence and Apple's approach with AI. I am Mudara, your host.
I'm Kanishka.
So welcome you guys. Ayubowan to our episode.
Ayubowan.
Maja,
Yeah.
how was WWDC?
To be honest, I fell asleep halfway. No, I had to go to the office the other day, the next day, so I fell asleep halfway through the event. I didn't see the first impression, the first time they introduced Apple Intelligence. I didn't see it. So
okay.
You
well, as we did a previous episode, I did like a lot of research. So I was already knew certain things that will unveil and that event.
Yeah.
But I didn't thought about Apple's approach with AI, as we both were curious in the last episode. If you guys haven't heard or watched that episode, check us out at YouTube at Aprender podcast. So, Macha, my honest opinion was certain implementations with Apple's OS suite, especially with iOS, it's pretty weird. Like, did you see that customization?
Yeah.
With like single color that was like totally opposite to what we used to. Like, basically, if you see a screenshot, you guys might already have seen screenshots of iOS 18 and all. If you guys see the home screen with that same colored icons, first impression, it's not like Apple. They don't usually do that. They usually maintain a certain aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
With their designs and software and everything, but that's not it. So I'm not impressed with that. Definitely, I'm not going to implement that.
Yeah.
Once I update my device. First half in this episode, not the first half, like first 15 minutes, we'll discuss what we guessed correctly and what we haven't. Right, Moja?
Yeah.
So first thing, app customizations and everything, we hit the jackpot where we guessed those features correctly. Certain part that we haven't did the correct prediction with settings. I had more groundbreaking settings revamp, but they didn't do any groundbreaking stuff. Other than that, Majang, Apple Intelligence, Apple's AI approach was the part that we haven't able to guess correctly, right? So event also, normally the WWDC event is around 1.5 hours, but last event was like 3 hours, almost 3 hours. So Kanishka fell asleep. We all did.
Yeah.
While Apple Intelligence part, they did some, honestly, they did certain demos, right? But OpenAI doing their OpenAI thing and unveiling ChatGPT 4, for me, I was like not impressed because OpenAI showed us that.
Yeah.
So it's not like something brand new. My honest first impression was like, okay, Siri, for example, they unveiled Siri 2.0. They didn't exactly name it Siri 2.0. They called it brand new Siri experience. It was, my first impression was like, it was like okay, this is just another ChatGPT 4 wrapper, right? This is like another AI startup using ChatGPT or OpenAI's API for their front end function. That is the same impression I got. Later, at the event, they unveiled their OpenAI partnership, but it didn't had any, like, I wanted more screen time with Sam, the CEO of OpenAI, but they haven't shared that. So overall, I'm not much of impressed, but there are certain which I don't know. This is like a groundbreaking thing. But Machan, did you see the Apple calculator apps having Maths Note, right?
Yeah.
That was like,
Yeah, it's pretty impressive how they have implemented it.
It's really, there's a really good backstory. Back in like 2 to 3 years ago, MKBHD, the guy who does the reviews on YouTube, had an interview with Craig Federighi. Craig Federighi is, I think, currently Apple Senior Vice President of Software, right? In his interview, he asked, until that point, Apple didn't have an official calculator in iPad.
Yeah.
There's like no built-in calculator app for iPad. So MKBHD questioned that from Craig. His answer was he or the team, basically Apple, wanted some brand new, like, full experience with calculator app. So they said that they haven't created that app yet. Once they hit their like innovative, think different state of that app's implementation, they will implement it. Damn, like after 3 years, they nailed that. They tried in the sport, Macha. I was like super impressed with Apple's, like, what you call it? Maths Note, right?
Yeah. Calculator. No.
Calculator app having Maths Note feature.
Yeah.
There was a certain thing that I found, Macha. In the entire iOS and macOS, in every chat, prompt that we can type something, right? Like, for like example, iMessage. If I'm in the iOS 18, if I'm sending you an iMessage with like 1 + 1, at the same time I press equal sign, it does the calculation. Entire OS, much, even in the Spotlight, like calculator everywhere.
Basically, they are monitoring us, right?
Yeah, they are waiting like until the equal sign to do the calculation. Maths Note was like absolutely impressive, especially with the iPad and Apple Pencil, because a Maths Note feature will recognize your handwriting, even in maths, basically. If you, for example, they demoed like a graph with XY axis, and Apple Maths Note feature was able to calculate X and Y upon prompts that I'm writing. And I was even impressed with their copying our handwriting. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, so I know that Sherlock Holmes does some, analytics on person's handwriting, right? He says that every person's handwriting is unique, but like not anymore. Apple does a lot of things in
that handwriting part is integrated into Notes or calculator.
That's pretty weird. That's a good question, Maja. That's pretty weird implementation, because in the calculator app there is this Maths Note function, right? Maths Note when you click the Maths Note function, that will turn into a whole new user interface. But the thing is, Machang, that same interface is having on Notes app. So it's like they are somewhat merging those two apps at the same time. They are not. So pretty weird. Certain implementations. Other than that, WWDC was like pretty boring actually. I was more impressed about starting intro.
Yeah.
With like the guys doing certain stunts and everything. I think that event full event is on YouTube, and Apple's YouTube channel. I'll put the link below. You guys should check it out. Okay, for the today part, Apple Intelligence. Yeah, basically Apple Intelligence. If you can guess it, the keywords are A and I.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence. They just basically rebranded AI to Apple Intelligence. That like basic Apple.
Okay.
Apple 101.
Apple AI.
Yeah, Apple AI. No, it's
Not
double A and
yeah.
I.
It's just Apple Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence, just Apple Intelligence. They mentioned at certain times they mentioned AI. We thought, and I thought that they are mentioning artificial intelligence at the same time. If you get the context, it's Apple Intelligence also can be applied to that same context. I'm not sure, but Apple being Apple, they rebranded AI, artificial intelligence to Apple Intelligence. They usually do that, like what do you call 120 hertz refresh rate is not 120 hertz refresh rate in Apple ecosystem. It's promotion. Yeah. Like what do you call another thing? I think retina display is not a brand new thing they invented. Retina is, I think, AMOLED displays with HDR. They are calling it retina display. They are really good at marketing, and as usual they really do their part well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Apple Intelligence, how do you explain it? Maja, can you explain it to someone? If someone is asking, I'm asking you, what is Apple Intelligence?
Yeah, so I can think of the technical definition of it. Like, it has the ability to process information locally on the device using LLMs, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
if something critical or if something necessary needs to be calculated, sometimes it sends that information or data into Apple Cloud for processing. That's it, right? That's like a
yeah. Like if a non-technical person is asking you about Apple Intelligence, you can't just point that is Apple Intelligence. That's not it. If someone is asking about you, what is ChatGPT, you can share a URL, or you can share the parent company, or you can even share Android or iOS apps also. But the thing is, Apple Intelligence, we actually can't explain it properly.
Yeah.
Because it's not a single feature, it's not a single app. Like integration, right? Basically, Apple Intelligence is like, if you guys using Windows and Android, you guys are or don't need to know about Apple Intelligence, because there is a zero chance of you guys actually using Apple Intelligence, right? If you guys can check our last episode, Kanishka did certain predictions correctly. I was like, until that moment I wasn't thinking about that feature, but Kanishka predicted that feature, actually Apple Intelligence. The thing is, Apple is really good with their ecosystem. They are famous with their hardware and software, right? Kanishka predicted that, imagine a situation like binding our Apple account, Apple ID, having a feature that we can like look into a document on my MacBook or mobile or iPad using a single iCloud account, like in AI part, actual assistant with for example, if I say order me a Pilaus Kotu, AI agent that able to open Uber Eats app and or put an order from Pilaus, is a real assistant, right? Kanishka predicted this, right? Kanishka said that with the data and information Apple had, they actually can create something like it. And they even could put a plus sign at the end and sell it as a service, even like Apple TV Plus or Apple Music, iCloud Plus. So basically, Apple Intelligence is just that, except it processing locally.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, we can't put a definition of Apple Intelligence, but we can share certain examples. What do you call? Imagine Apple actually parted Apple Intelligence into two parts: creative and generative stuff. generative stuff for like image generations and emoji generation. They called it Genmoji. I don't know why they have to brand everything, but they do. But it's more interesting with creating and searching functions. Like Apple Intelligence is tying to everyone's Apple ID. If you're having an Apple ID and you are logged into your MacBook, iPhone, iPad, and every Apple device that you are using, you are basically enabling Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence is a really personal assistant, AI assistant with large language models. Those information, those requests we are requesting it to do are processed locally. That basically do what it basically do is they do certain personal tasks. Like if I'm asking Apple Intelligence to share me the photos last year with Kanishka, he can do that. Imagine an assistant being able to do that. At that point, I don't have to share who is Kanishka, what is my default photos application, or anything else. He just do that. If I'm asking that, yeah, I'm free. Hey, I'm free on next Friday. He can do that. If I'm not using calculate, even not I'm using calculator app on my iPhone. If I'm using my calculator app on MacBook, he know where to fetch my information. That's like really personal stuff. So they're really like playing with fire. As a really privacy driven company, they are like what do you call, narrate their AI parts into really personal stuff. As they even branded that like a really personal assistant. Like in last week's episode, we explained that most currently available assistants are like doing certain Google searches for us. That's what they basically do. If I'm asking about weather, they just do a Google search and tell us. That's not a personal assistant do, right? If I'm having a real personal assistant, if I'm asking her to do a certain booking or put a certain order, or even at a calendar event, it just do that, and it shouldn't be asking any questions regarding what app to use, if it is okay to send. They don't need any confirmation, right?
Yeah.
Because personal assistant is pretty personal. If I'm not using my, for example, if I'm not using iMessage as my personal messaging platform, let's say I'm using WhatsApp, Apple Intelligence knows what I'm sharing and what the other apps I'm using. But don't take anything, don't mistake anything. Apple don't access third-party applications. They just access their own Apple app for iMessage, Apple Calendar, Apple Music, Apple Notes, and everything. But for example, if Apple Notes is a really personal app, right? We don't share the notes with everyone unless we really want to. So Apple Intelligence can access those information. As I explained in the previous thing, like if I'm not using a default calendar app, but I'm using a third-party calendar app with Apple iCloud as Apple's calendar, Apple's Intelligence can fetch the events that I'm having for the next day, or if I ask about an event that happened a year ago, it should be able to tell me. Like, it's really personal. So that's basically the Apple's approach with Apple Intelligence. It's another AI, it's another assistant, but it's really personal. Like, it's not always talk back to us. It only talking part is done by Siri. So Siri is a component of Apple Intelligence. It's not the base of Apple Intelligence. So you don't need to be, every time type into or talk to Apple Intelligence. For example, they showed that if I'm, let's say, in my mail app in the Mac, if I'm mentioning about invoice that I had from Keels, let's say Kanishka, every time attaching my Keels bill for yesterday, then Apple's mail app suggests me the Keels bill. That's Apple Intelligence doing Apple Intelligence thing. You don't have to look into anything. As they demoed, imagine like I'm not having Keels bill as an email. I'm having my Keels bill as a photo. He knows it. It can suggest you that this is the Kale's bill, this is the date, so this is the yesterday's bill. You might need to attach this. It's really weird, but it's really personal. At the same time, I knew that Apple had to justify this in the point of privacy, or otherwise Kanishka will like lose his mind, lose his shit. So they did, right? The first impression as a person that didn't or haven't watched that event might lose his mind.
I haven't watched it, but I haven't watched it yet.
I'm pretty sure Elon Musk did.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, Apple intelligence is not based on Siri. So, as I explained, Siri is another party of the Apple intelligence. Because Apple, let's say, they demoed that a person's mother is coming to visit them and they are asking Siri about what the time the flight is arriving and everything, he knows, right? All those informations are happening on device or collected on device. He can do the local stuff. Actually, with the current Siri, it's pretty much able to do certain on-device tasks, but the new Siri is like pretty intelligent. He knows that if there is iMessage related to your mother with a certain date and everything, he knows. In the demo, he successfully shared that your mother is coming this day at this time, like everything. The thing is, if I ask Siri, if I'm getting the new Siri in this context, if I'm asking new Siri about the height of Empire State Building, he doesn't know that. He need internet, right? He need to access internet to get that information. So current Siri can do that, but this new one is having a new user interface, like really cool animation and everything. But if I'm asking like, for example, I'm saying Siri that I have eggs, butter, and some sugar, what I can make. Siri, on-device Siri have not any capability to know a recipe with those ingredients, right? That like practical thing. So he's asking for help. The thing is, he's asking for help from ChatGPT. That's the main part that triggered everyone, because there will be a separate prompt saying that he needs more help to answer this query, and he's proposing that he ask this more information from ChatGPT, whether can I ask this or not. So as a user, I have every time I have to manually allow, okay, go ahead and ask from ChatGPT. The thing is, as their privacy approach, as they like really tackle this features with privacy, they are showing like, I will share a screenshot in the video podcast of this episode, like in every context, if Siri doesn't know any answer or Siri, but the thing is, if I'm asking Siri about Empire State Building's height, he can just Google that, right? He already have the Google search capability. He already have internet. So he will not use ChatGPT. But he now has that intelligence that if this information is needed to be asked from ChatGPT, or he can like search from the Google or anything. He has this capability, right? So that's a really good implementation. But in the context of asking for ChatGPT, there will be a separate prompt asking whether it is cool to ask from ChatGPT. In that window, the irony was there will be a disclaimer saying that certain information might not be 100% correct in the every context. So I think it's more like a not more privacy focused implementation. It's more like legally like establishing that, okay, I didn't tell you to share the information with ChatGPT. Okay, we put signs everywhere to not do that, but you always did. So yeah, the information is like more focused on legal parts, I think. As they explained, Machan, ChatGPT will not be the only AI assistant that they will integrate into iOS and macOS and everything. I think as the first part, they are integrating into iOS 18. This integration will not happen on the release date of the iOS 18 and macOS and everything. Most probably around September or October. Certain features might need some time. They mentioned that certain features will come in the next fall. So this is the state of Apple intelligence. So it's really there are certain architectural designs, like if he doesn't know any information, he will only process our request on device. So they should need certain hardware capabilities. Because of that, iPhone 15 Pro series will be the only series that support Apple Intelligence and New Siri. If he doesn't know anything, then they will go to internet. But at the first attempt, it will not go directly to Google or ChatGPT. Apple created their own data center, so there will be a separate data center dedicated to Apple Intelligence and New Siri. If a query a certain user asks, Apple Intelligence can't answer those queries he's asking. He's looking into Apple's cloud, Apple's data centers. So they said that there are certain encrypted keywords. There will be only encrypted keywords will be sharing with Apple, even Apple's data centers. And they guaranteed that not even a single query will be stored in Apple data centers. And they are even asking for individual forensics to do their implementation, to do audit on their implementation, check whether there are any privacy or security concerns. So as I feel, they are super confident with the implementation up until their data center. If their data center can't cater the request certain users are asking, then the New Siri will approach to ChatGPT, or in future might be Gemini or Google Microsoft Copilot even. So they are teasing, like at first they wanted to integrate ChatGPT because that's the best one currently available in the market. And they are saying that Craig said that even after event interview, he said that they are hoping to integrate Google Gemini and Microsoft Copilot in the future also. Let's look into that. I'm not sure that will happen anytime soon, but ChatGPT will integrate and integration will happen pretty soon. That's how the architecture of this current Apple Intelligence and New Siri works. Another small thing, Machan, with New Siri integration, they are I feel like they're giving up on ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or Google Gemini computer. They're just giving their platforms to third-party creations, right? They don't. I think they are becoming a parasite in a sense. I'm not sure, but they are definitely not in confidence with their approach with like generative AI and everything. So that's pretty much it with Apple Intelligence.
When you were explaining that feature, where like it has the ability, Apple Intelligence has the ability to read or go through with all of our information, and according to the demonstration that they have conducted, so it has the ability to know who's visiting us, blah blah blah. So let's say you are taking my phone and asking Apple Intelligence something very personal about myself, and if Apple Intelligence does not have the ability to detect it's not me that asking for this information, it will probably give out, right? Like, I think.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
So I don't know how they're going to approach that kind of thing. Like, we can trick it, right? We can trick to get that sort of information. We can say you can say Kanishka is in danger and we need this information right now. So it should have the ability to detect our voice and say, I don't think I should be able to give this kind of information to you because you are not me.
if I don't know whether it's matching to this context or not. Currently, Siri having voice recognition feature, Machang, it's super terrible. I configured my HomePod to only recognize my voice. So if I say to put a calendar event or reminder, sometimes it does that seamlessly. Sometimes it just out of nowhere asking who is speaking. Can't recognize myself. I'm not sure how new Siri does that feature.
Yeah.
Does that voice recognition or any authentication mechanism it use? That's a good point actually. That we have to wait until Apple release that feature. I'm definitely sure someone will figure it out.
Yeah. And about that integration that they have done with the ChatGPT, and going forward that they're going to integrate other GPTs as well. I think basically what they're going to do is, this is my point of view. Let's say Siri has the ability to Google, and if Siri cannot find anything what he was going to search, and then it's going to search ChatGPT. So don't you feel like Apple is also training some sort of a LLM module using ChatGPT's ability and ChatGPT's data or other AI?
Good point, Machan. Good point. I forgot to mention that. So Apple and OpenAI are having a partnership, right? They announced a partnership, though they haven't shared what are the terms of their partnership. They haven't shared anything. So I did some digging. I found that in the TechCrunch article that Apple is not paying a single dollar or single cent to OpenAI in this partnership. They are just allowing their 1 billion plus active devices to put free queries to ChatGPT. That's their partnership point. They are allowing their 1 billion devices. So I think ChatGPT having the capability of training their
models.
Modules. Yeah, that's a good thing. The point you mentioned is really valid. I think Apple can do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So Apple can identify what are the things that Siri can't do.
Yeah.
So they can filter that out, right? These queries Siri can't do, so we need to improve Siri. So hopefully Siri will continuously develop. As for my knowledge, Majang, if I'm developing a perfect AI assistant, I don't think it can 100% secure my privacy. So I think it doesn't supposed to do that, right? It always need new information, always need new data. So we have to wait until Apple release Apple Intelligence officially. As I heard, Mark Gurman said that Apple Intelligence and new Siri will not be releasing up until late 2025. I think, Macha.
Okay.
They just basically, I think, showed that the investors, and they don't have any investors, right? They have board of directors that these are the things that we are working on. We failed to deliver those things, and we did in certain partnerships and all. So as per government's documents, iOS 18, at the day iOS 18 and macOS is released, new Siri and Apple Intelligence will not be ready. So we have to wait. Furthermore, so in this episode, we needed to do a clarification on how Apple Intelligence works and certain problems. And as for my research, I had certain problems. As always, in today's episode, Kanishka brought up new problems. Now I have more problems. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right, Maja?
Yeah.
Anything else we missed? No, right?
No.
Yeah, today's episode might be a shorter one, but I think it's a more valuable one because with this rate, Maja, I'm not sure. I had certain hope with Apple, but I'm not at a state of certain doubts, Maja. I'm not 100% sure about their approach. They just need to keep up with the race, right? They are not standing out like this is bad, this is messed up. They don't say that. They just went with the wind, right? So let's see how things will turn out. But still, I think Apple's implementation is more secure than most of the implementations. but I can't 100% guarantee that there were no any third-party researchers or audits regarding the implementations yet. Let's hope for good future, for a better future, as always. So that's pretty much it in today's episode. Really, like, with the current state, Majan, actually, I saw that Microsoft is really pushing their limits with Copilot, right? There are like separate key, dedicated key in new Windows laptops for Copilot, like separate hardware key. I'm not sure, like certain things Apple implemented, like the new Apple Intelligence and new Siri is like for context. Let's say there was a certain trend of creating only hard AI capable hardware devices like Rabbit R1 and Human AI pin. They did like certain AI part, but Apple just basically killed those things and integrated that feature into their ecosystem. The same way Meta did with copying stories from Snapchat.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Machan, they successfully did that, right? Stories were implemented in Instagram. I'm talking about Meta's cheating scandals. They implemented stories everywhere in Facebook, Instagram, and even WhatsApp. But to this date, I use Snapchat. I didn't give up on it. It's like they have really good track record when it comes to standing in their idea and protecting user data in a sense. So I'm not I daily I use Snapchat, but I'm not using Meta anymore. Yeah, like, so with the point is, Majang, everyone is copying everyone, but only certain companies are able to proceed their reputation with users or customers' favor, right? Apple definitely a number one company doing that. Google like really made that really bad. Google is being only a default search engine for me at this point.
Yeah.
I don't use any Google service except for YouTube. That's like there's no any competition, or there is no any alternative to YouTube still to this date. So yeah, let's see how things will turn out to be, right, Moja?
Yeah.
It's not like Apple implementing Type-C on iPhone, right?
No.
This is not benefiting everyone. So definitely they have to regulate this and share all the legal points with Europe region. Thank you, GDPR. I think Apple might not even release the AI features in Europe region, right? Europe Union. Let's see how things will turn out to be. And a small thing that I think Apple's Vision Pro hardware, the thing is, Apple having a certain upper hand with marketing trends, right? Like economical trends, right? When they release a certain thing, certain product, certain feature, everyone will copy. But they failed to do that in Vision Pro, because I saw a report that they abandoned their work on Vision Pro 2. They just scrapped their work because Apple Vision Pro first generation is not as a hit as they predicted, Macha. So they like move the focus from their Vision Pro development team to a more cheaper version. Because in Sri Lanka, we can't just go ahead and buy a Vision Pro after 2 weeks, say to Apple that I don't want this is not for me, and return that, right? In other countries, they can do that. So they did that. So many first day orders were returned back to Apple. Like users didn't had any like practical use cases with Vision Pro, so internally they are considered it as a failed product. The thing is, Machang, that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing, because everyone is put in the line to follow Apple's trend, Apple will have a definite monopoly in everywhere, right? They need to be regulated, I think. So that's a good thing. Let's see if they might release a cheaper Vision Pro around 1,500. Currently, Vision Pro is like $3,000. So we don't have to be scared about anything because we will not be able to afford that even.
Yeah.
1,500 is like will definitely be more than like 700 or 800K in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode, guys. If you guys having any questions or any topics that need to be discussed or explained from us, since we both are related to tech industry, so we have a certain idea about certain things. We do certain researches, and Kanishka especially, if you're having any privacy issues or privacy concerns, or if you want to know a way to hack Facebook, please contact him. We will link our socials everywhere. We are basically more active on Twitter, currently known as X, and we do post our audio episodes first. We still consider our podcast as a audio first episode as a podcast. So we do post our audio podcast on audio platforms, coming from Apple Podcast to Spotify Podcast to YouTube Podcast. I think Google Podcast is currently dead.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. And now it's integrated to YouTube Podcast, and everywhere, Pocket Cast, or everywhere you guys are listening, we are available there. Just search Aprender Podcast. Other than that, we are releasing our video episodes after our release of our audio podcast in YouTube, and also we are sharing our video full episodes on X, Twitter also. If you guys having any concerns or problems or questions to ask, or any topics to be discussed in the episodes, just share us a message or put a comment or do anything. Do anything.
Anything.
We will explain like anything for you, Sudha. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So hope to see you guys in the next episode. Take care and be safe.
Yeah.
Jayo.
Jaya.